You know, if you want to get attention at a tree show or at a bonsai show, you want to make it drastic. Hi, miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. I bought this a tree from a nurseryman who was attempting to make it into a bonsai. It was growing in a pot and more or less in a cascade form. It's a San Jose Juniper, which is all needle, very little scale. So let me say a few words about the difference between prostrata juniper, which is very common in Southern California bonsai community, and also San Jose juniper. San Jose juniper, the trunk gets really rugged, and so oftentimes it is used to graft shimpaku on it to get the rough bark and also the soft needles, smaller needles, the scales. I think just by looking at this tree, you can see there's a very big problem with San Jose juniper. That means at the bottom of each branch, there's a brown needles hanging there. So to make it into a refined bonsai, you almost have to come in and wear a glove to pick off all of the sharp needles. But I bought it. I like the shape. I think I can make it into something. So let's discuss what design possibility as a way to learn bonsai technique and design, and also a few techniques such as to break a branch to fill a hole, to use anchor wire to fill a hole, as well as how to create the paths and so for the normal convention about discussion about junipers. And then finally, I would put into a pot to talk a little bit about the pot selection criteria. So there's a lot of material to cover using this tree as a vehicle to talk about the bonsai techniques. Like I said, I was attracted to this bonsai because it is challenging. I have many design options. It also shows, I want to show my audience that, you know, old material, as you work at it, you will have options. Then you have the old material, the old trunk and etc. as a good starting point. Even though the tree is established, you still can find ways to modify it dramatically to suit your design. And that's why I like to go to bonsai. I like to buy old materials that nobody wants, so it's not expensive, but it's got the basic trunk, and then I cut it drastically to start over again, capitalizing on the existing old stuff. And that's a very good way to get a good start on your bonsai. So now let's get to work. One of the first things you do is to, when you have a tree, is to orient it at different angle to see if you can see what's a desirable or what's a possibility. If you look at this tree from this angle, you can see the idea was a cascade. This thing kind of running on the ground, sticking out, and something grow on top, something grow on top. So it's a nice cascade, sort of like three trunk cascade. This is a top branch cascade or semi-cascade, and then the bottom one. The one problem doing that is that you can see cascade usually grow out of a side of a cliff. And this one is running on the ground, and then it goes out. So usually cliff don't have ground to run on, but maybe, you know, so it's possible. So one possibility is to put it in a pot. Maybe I'll cut back this, and a pot maybe about this size. Cut off this part to expose more of the extrusion. And then that's the design, which is not a bad tree. Look at that, very unusual cascade. Usually cascade just one sticking out. Okay, so that's one possibility. Now, let's look at another really drastic possibility. Now, suppose I planted this tree like this. Look at that incredible design. Look at this. So this is a tree going up, and it's growing like this, and then there's one coming out, and there's one coming out. Look at this. It will be quite an unusual tree. I think this is a very good possibility of a cascade, but just to be a little different. Why don't we try to do it in a vertical one? That's really, really different. If you want to get attention at a trade show or at a bonsai show, you want to make it drastic. So let's at least talk over the cascade one. One possibility is here, this branch. I think it could be something interesting to demonstrate. If this is a vertical one, that's a top tree, there's nothing on this side, which would be really nice. So the question is, how do you make this tree, this branch come to this way to fill this hole? And I've always said, so long as there's some connecting bark, the tree will grow. So in that case, I will actually take a saw and cut this one like this, and then break it to go this way, and it will be connected still here. So this will become a branch on the side. The other one is to bring this one down to accentuate that is from here, and whereas this one's going up. So there are little tricks you can do to enhance your balance of the tree. So let me take one more look at the vertical design to see if it makes any sense. Now just take a look at this roughly. How do you like it? I don't think you'll find a bonsai tree in a bonsai book that looks like this. So I want to be distinctive. I want to be different. So why don't I make it into a vertical tree that's going to be really different? Okay, so that's what I'll do. So let me begin by, again, clipping from the top. One question I have, is this way too high? I don't think so, given this is intended to be high. And now you've got a tree coming up this way. You've got a branch going out this. And this one can be remaining, or yeah, I think that's a genus quite nice. And there's actually very little pruning that needs to be done. Although I think this part is a little ugly because that's way up. So I'll probably make this the second apex down here and pull this one down to fill the hole and so forth. So I think that is roughly the design, and there's no reason why the bottom couldn't be this way and that way. I think it will be very dramatic tree. So here I am taking someone's cascade, made it into a vertical one that's very dramatic. I don't know if I like it or not, but if I work on it for 5 years, it will eventually like it, because then it's gradually begin to conform to my design. Well, with that in mind, I better quit talking and get going. Always begin with the apex on top. Again, today will be a rough cut, not very perfect, but get rid of the redundant branches so when it comes out, it'll be right, and then I can build on it to thicken the branch and all that. So for example, like this one here, I really don't need this ugly branch. And then I'll probably make one of these the apex. So let's say I make this the apex, right, to give it a little bit more curve. Then I make this the pad. So the apex is not much now, but once it gets going, then you have it. When you buy an old tree, don't be terribly critical of its look, because you're capitalizing on its age to use the pieces, the elements that make the tree look old. So because you can then take time to modify it and build on the existing old structure to make it look nice. So always remove redundant branch so that when it grows out, it'll be right. I don't need branches here to run here, but I need a branch in the back. So I cut off these so that more of the energy will go to where I want it to be. Problem with the San Jose Juniper is really truly a needle, and they really poke. But I guess I've done enough bonsai show that I have thick skin, so I'm just going to not wear gloves. It's easier to work without gloves, better control of my hand. and then try to now form the lower branches when they fill out. So it'll be bare, but it will fill out, have the right branches to the right places. I really don't like the San Jose Juniper with the brown bottom of the branch, but you know, it's okay. So that's almost done. So this one, there's nothing up here, so I'll cut this off to make that into a gin. So I want to be careful to make this into an apex for this, this branch, this trunk, side trunk, to make that into a gin. And make this into an apex. Basically, the idea is to clean off all the redundant branches, so the remaining branches will grow faster, and not only that, it will not be cluttered, the design will not be cluttered by the redundant branches. So I'm just cutting off as much as redundant branches as possible, and what's remaining is going to look pretty bare, but that's okay because it will fill up eventually, and to at the right places. So for example, this branch, I need a branch here. So this is a very small branch now, but it will come out to be like this and fill this hole. It all in due time. So you do have to do it with a little bit of a vision of what you want the tree to become. So like this branch is coming out, it'll be growing up to have a little bit more of an apex, and then this branch will coming down. And so you just go all around until you have kind of the branches like this one here. That's going to be the apex, and then these will be the lower branches, the pads. So you just gradually do that, and it will look pretty bare, pathetic when I'm done, but you know, it will fill out, and I will show you in about 6 months what it will look like in a year. And every 6 months, after a couple of years, you're beginning to see why I'm doing what I'm doing. But this tree surprised me as a kind of a sort of okay cascade. It's going to turn out to be something quite spectacularly different. Now let me work on this, the next lower branch. Like this tree is kind of crooked, and yet this one is kind of a straight. And that's not, you know, in some sense, you expect a tree to grow with the same characteristic, different parts of the tree. So with that in mind, then I would rather choose a branch. Like I could choose this branch, which is curved, but the problem is that there's nothing up here. And so on the other hand, this one is straight, but it started growing here. So if I cut it here, then there's some chance that these will come out eventually, give me the kind of the curves I need to rhyme with this piece. So with that in mind, then you see what I do is I'll just it's okay. I broke it, and when it dry out, I will come and crack it some more to make it more interesting. But the point is that you can see here, there's a little growth. This will come out and give me, in some sense, a turn to match this eventually, the kind of a turn that I would like this tree to rhyme with the upper branch. So all of these are going to take a few years, but I will give this tree a 5-year time frame to become a pretty nice bonsai. But it would take that kind of a time, and the continuous work with the vision that you had about the the design and keep working on it to get the desirable characteristic. Although the brown needle isn't too hard to come off, like I really need to have some more branching here. Like this is kind of a long. Maybe I can make it dramatic by breaking it to come this way, but it's kind of a sticking out too far. So I'll just make it into a gen to have some interesting feature, and then make this one into part of the design. So I'm just clipping away and leaving branches, knowing what they will grow out to become to meet my design objective. Aside from that, I just clip off everything I don't need, and it will take 6 months to fill out quite a bit. And I'm cutting off the long branches, let the small branches grow out again, so that it would become short, stout branches with many nodes behind for designing. Otherwise, just a long branch, sometimes it works very nicely, but most of the time they don't. So I'm just shorten all the redundant branches I don't need, and save the little stubs that it will grow out to be something I can use. So you try to save all the branches that can be used, and hopefully it will thicken out and give you more branching for design opportunities. So today what I've done is I took this old Cascade bonsai raw material tree that I bought and turned it into upright, which is kind of a unexpected. As I was looking at it, it became apparently this could be a dramatic tree. It's a San Jose Juniper or needle juniper, which only have needles, very little scales. Now, I turned this tree, really basically did a 180-degree turn or 90-degree turn. So this becomes the top, kind of an interesting curve. And then these trees, you can think of this tree is growing in the back behind a big cliff, and therefore it tends to reach out each other way, but basically trying to grow up straight for the light. Now, I want this to be the top of the root, in a sense, the top of the tree. And all of this would, die off, and hopefully roots will come out down here, like up here, a little ways go down. And so to save this tree, I don't want to mess up these roots. So I'm going to, in fact, just leave it alone and put soil down here to fill the bottom, so there will be plenty of roots, fibrous roots to feed this tree. At the same time, the top will be died off because it's dry. And now I will have a tree that's starting off about here. Instead, I think you can see the technique that I'm trying to apply. So basically what I'm trying to do is that each time when we do a tree, each tree is a little different. I try to accentuate and share with you some of the techniques that's applying to each tree. So even though I may be just doing a bonsai demonstration, but it really is trying to make a point about the techniques that you can learn from it. So over time, I think in 5 years, this will be a very nice bonsai. Right now it looks bare because I cut off all of the redundant branches, and after I potted, when I started the growing, I'll start to pull the branches, make sure they go in the right places. And that's how you create a bonsai from any raw material. And I highly recommend you start with a bigger tree, a older bonsai that you want to totally reshape to your own design. Those are good materials to start. Last weekend, every year about this time, please look out for this so-called Oakland Mammoth Bonsai Auction sale on Saturdays. I think that is a very good place to pick up your old material and try to work on it. So with that in mind, then I'm basically done with this tree, and we'll put it back in the bonsai pot, let this bottom grow and the top die off. So then the roots will die off in an interesting way to be part of the bonsai design. You want to use everything possible to accentuate your design, but just do whatever you like and just do it. Thank you very much for watching. Please click like and share with your friend so that we can grow the bonsai interest community. And subscribe to our channel and go to our website to sign up for our mailing list that we will send you announcement that you'll be glad you get. That's only to the special group of people that we have on our mailing list. Those are special friends. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you next week.